we are tripping over the quality of those characters. What's going on with the types of male characters that we keep seeing? Have you ever stopped and considered how many of them actually embody the traits that you would want a kid to emulate? At a quick glance, the modern era, it's seen a wide spectrum of overwhelmingly positive, affirming female and female-coded characters. You have everything from Doc McStuffins to the miraculous Ladybug, Hello Kitty, Bluey, Luz from the Owl House, most of the gems from Steven Universe, Carmen Sandiego, who's apparently a hero now. Barbie just had herself an empowering live-action adaptation, and she's
Ken
also
with the
a
hero.
YouTube vlogger dishing out shockingly solid mental health advice.
Maybe I'm just being really unfair on myself. You know, I don't always have to be upbeat and positive.
Even parodies of the overconfident, self-reliant neo-heroine like Princess Bubblegum from Adventure Time ultimately get to be effective political leaders, excel at STEM fields, kick butt on the battlefield, and get the...
Can't believe you actually use Princess Bubblegum as a positive example over Phineas and Ferb.
Even Phineas and Ferb, who are smart and resourceful and funny, are outright disobeying their parents each and every day on them.
Yeah, they really did believe they had permission, and I suppose it was all a big misunderstanding.
Hamster's following your twisty turning thing, but I bet I can beat him there. Water tower punch! Meteor punch! Sorry, hamster. Hot baby mustache punch!
Plus, at the end of the day, I think that if I had kids, I would rather they were indoctrinated by some boring person with his stale, stupid philosophical musings than by a woman who wants him to cut his dick off. But the thing I really want to talk about here is the show's villain. No, not that one. No, not that one. Who even is this? Yeah, that one. That's the one. Okay, so right now you might be saying, hold on, Princess Bubblegum isn't the villain of her time. Here we disagree. I think that she is worse than pretty much 90% of all the characters, and I am almost 100% sure that by the end of the show, the big twist will be that she was actually evil all along. What makes me think that? Well, let's go over this together. Let's go over a short list of things she's done throughout the show, okay? So, in the first episode of the show, she created a zombie potion that was supposed to bring people back to life, but then almost destroyed the entire kingdom in an apocalypse. A few episodes later, she learned nothing from this and tried to do this all over again. In the first episode, she seemingly perfected this potion, and still she never uses it to revive anyone, instead lets them die and then clones them in secret. At one point doing this 25 times to a single character before banishing him to live in the desert because he's too annoying. She seems to often create new sentient lives and then decide for them who they will marry and with whom they'll live for the rest of their lives. She almost committed genocide by secretly freezing the core of the Fire Kingdom in an episode where one background character seemingly died on screen because of her actions, all to get access to the Fire Kingdom's weapons of mass destruction, despite she herself having the exact same weapons of mass destruction and having them working 24 hours a day to protect her kingdom. On top of that, she helped the Fire King construct a prison cell to contain his 2-year-old daughter in it for the rest of her life. And she's in fact so awful that there is at least one underground resistance group trying to keep track of her, and not everyone even recognizes the legitimacy of her rule. What she does to counteract that is spy on these people and also literally every single person in the entire kingdom. Not only that, but she also spies on the leaders of rival nations. And even though she decided to stop spying on people with cameras at one point, it turns out in an episode that happens far into the future that she replaced this with spying on them with implants she puts in their teeth to keep track of their movement at all times. Now the chronology of this is kind of hazy, so you can't tell what happened first, but what is certain from this episode that happens far into the future is that at some point in the future she traps everyone in her kingdom in little balls and then carries them around the wasteland in prison in a giant robot. And speaking of robots, she also created a sentient race of police robots who are so good at their job that they eradicated crime, but because she programmed them to exist solely for the purpose of fighting, which is completely her fault, they begin to fight each other in secret tournaments. Now, despite the fact that there's no crime in the city and that they're hurting absolutely no one by doing this, she brings them all into a single place, uses the fact that they're completely loyal to her to make half of them turn around and face the wall, and then kills the other half like that serial killer from the Blair Witch Project. Then she has the other half turn around and kills him too. And then when it turns out that one of them has escaped and has been living in a dump for probably decades without hurting anyone, and despite the fact that he is still 100% loyal to her, her first thought of what to do with this guy is to immediately kill him.
Also mentioned Arthur in the video, but it doesn't mention DW also had these traits. There's no entire series about it. About Effie, about this. Mandy, but
Very
Mandy's a
often they're
horrible
just
character.
non-conventionally feminine skewing characters like Sophia the First or Elena of
Because those are for preschoolers. Different age, you take into account age, target audience, age, and that age demographic.
Megatron's arrogant, destructive, mean to girls, and regularly used perpetual child. You eventually get tired of him, especially if you're a girl. The Lost Boys are called the Lost Boys because there weren't any lost girls originally. Peter's explanation is that girls are just far too clever to become lost like the rest of them. And when he brings Windy Darling to Neverland, it throws things into complete disarray because her relative maturity makes the other Lost Boys want to grow up. The point is, what Peter Pan explored was the very rigid classifications of gender in a child's upbringing during the era. The idea that on the whole, girls emotionally mature faster than boys. Something that has a fair amount of scientific truth to it. Literally, most girls optimize connections in their brains at an earlier age than boys. Cognitively mature more quickly.
Okay, let's re-examine that. Along with the social interpretations of that. I mean, it's basically white matter versus gray matter. Longer neural axons. When you mean like connections, they mean like connections. Their brains can communicate information in different areas quicker, integrate information quicker. Whereas neurons, they are basically more flexible, can move around the brain, can reorganize the brain, and make connections between their dendrites. They also absorb information. I think midway or saying through pregnancy, or maybe about 15 weeks or something, fetuses actually have more brains, more brain cells, more neurons, more brain activity than adults. It's all gets proven. We usually think of brain maturity, development, at least mainstream, think of it as the brain actually wrecking, shrinking, losing neurons. That's why Inside Out puts more emphasis on forgetting stuff, like growing up and forgetting everything you learned in childhood. Plus, plus shown that delayed immaturity is actually what made us human, what separated us from other animals. Humans in our long childhoods, not even Homo sapiens for the Neanderthals, in our how long it took for our brain to mature. The same science can say girls actually stop maturing sooner than boys. There's even another test that's showing that in moral development. However, in my book, psychological maturity, age only adds wisdom if you let it. And neurologically, the brain is only fully developed when it starts going senile. Well, and positive, you can see this a lot with lack of maturity. And in the very lore, I mean, Finn in 8 years has matured more than Bubblegum in another 1,000 years. Example is how the very feminist, so that people can give but sure can't take. I mean, they pass laws against misogyny, against what hurting your feelings, and they say how misandry is necessary, need a conversation. They don't want a full conversation, they want a lecture, one-sided lecture. Using your freedom to take away other people's freedom of speech. Yeah, typically, even Hitler had a majority of female voters. A lot of dictators get the power from mostly the female vote. They offended, but you should talk back to them. They project. Yeah, you're probably debating and discussing and actually trying to have a conversation. They're actually talking back. Actually trying to disprove it. You're actually trying to actually challenge it, not just silence it. Other times they could give, but sure they don't seem to act mature. The feminine, they're caught out by other women.
Trending succession of books and news stories suggest they are. How many times have you heard that women are wiser, kinder, more efficient, just all-round better human beings? Well, let's look at the evidence. That's coming up next on The Factual Feminist. Now, it used to be fashionable to celebrate men's alleged superiority over women. Many of the great philosophers, Aristotle, Kant, Rousseau, Nietzsche, they deemed women intellectually inferior. But today, there's a new kind of reverse female chauvinism that prevails. It is so common that social scientists have given it a name, the women are wonderful phenomenon, or WA for short. Well, here's a sample of recent WA headlines. Well, let's consider rules of women are wonderful. This is a game, and it's impossible for men to win, because if women do something better than men, that's just evidence of their innate superiority. But if men outperform women, that's proof of discrimination, retrograde patriarchy, or toxic masculinity.
To be fair, Northern mostly with the left in general. The difference between calling out systemic corruption and conspiracy theory is that the left wins. I mean, Kyle Rittenhouse, 2016, Amy Hill hearing, Brett Kavanaugh, O.J. Simpson trial. They're all systemically corrupt because the left lost based on the fact they lost. When it's actual corruption to point to actual laws broken, like barring information on the Cosby to protect their credibility, or forcing out poll watchers in 2020, and doing stuff they warned would call is prone to fraud, then oh, it's a conspiracy theory. It is mostly the left, most of the toxic left.
I didn't ask everybody. What about the women?
Fine. What do you do, Doctor?
That's right. I'm chief of complicated surgery at the Invasive Care Clinic. For the third largest distributor of bunk and trundle beds.
Oh, did you hear that? All the Simpson women turn out okay.
That's right, sweetie. The defective Simpson gene is on the Y chromosome, so only men are affected. Principal Skinner!
You know, Juliana, it's no surprise you became such a success. You always got straight A's in school.
Well, I remember getting a B or two in math.
Well, of course you did. You are a girl. No, all I meant was, from what I've seen, boys are better at math, science, the real subjects. There, that should put the matter behind us.
Calm down. I'm sure Principal Skinner didn't mean girls are inherently inferior.
No, of course not. I don't know why girls are worse. One thing we can all agree on, though, this little lady's sure ready tonight. Am I right?
There's even what Reed doesn't seem mature. Is how they had an entire speech about how all this strong women, all this powerful thing, this power girl is too much for us, and then blaming patriarchy for the stuff they fought for, and all the stuff she listed are actually more male problems, like always needing to have money but never being able to ask for money. And if you call out women's bad behavior, you're called a misogynist. There's even a case where a 9-year-old boy actually drove his mom to the hospital. How is he such a good driver at such a young age? Yeah, guess what? And leave a comment, and if you like it, subscribe.